Welcome back to the Bring Your Own Kombucha podcast, everyone. My name is Erica, and I'm the creator of BYOK, which, as you all know, is both a podcast and a blog that chats about health and wellness on the regular. Today's episode features Jane Stoller, and she's the author of the book called Organizing for Your Lifestyle, which is actually available on Amazon. I'm going to link to all that information in the podcast show notes. And in case you don't know, you can always go to my website, www.bringyourownkombucha.com, and head over to the podcast tab. And on the podcast tab, I have each and every individual episode laid out with all the social media handles and information for each episode, including the podcast sponsor information. So that's always there as a resource. So anyway, Jane came on the podcast. We talk all about literally everything from like folding sheets to how to pack your travel bag. It was super interesting. And I think it's a really beneficial episode for anybody. Even if you're a little bit OCD, I think that you'll take away some good tips from this episode. And before we jump in, I want to talk a little bit about Watermelon Road. They have generously sponsored today's podcast episode. And if you haven't tried them yet, what I really like about them is that they cater to a variety of, we'll call them diets per se. They are plant-based fruit jerky. So they are paleo-friendly, vegan-friendly, gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free. They have no refined sugars, no preservatives, and no artificial flavoring. So this fruit jerky actually comes in a couple different flavors. I like the apple pie ones, especially now that like fall's coming up. It's very on brand for the fall, but they also have pineapple mojito, watermelon lemonade, and then they actually just came out with mango margarita this summer. So head over to www.watermelonroad.com, and if you use the promo code BYOK, you'll receive 10% off, or you can actually grab them on Amazon now, which is super cool. So without further ado, let's jump into today's episode with Jane Stoller. Hi, Jane, and welcome to the Bring Your Own Kombucha podcast.
Hi, Erica. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Why don't you give us a brief background about yourself before I jump into all of our questions?
Yeah, gladly. Because I have kind of a unique background. I started in the construction industry, worked 10 years kind of in Canada, and then they moved me overseas in Europe, worked in Switzerland and in France. And during that time, I still was honing my passion of organizing. And during that time, I wrote a book about organizing. Even when I was in the corporate world, I spent a lot of time, with my colleagues, and even every project I worked on would still be kind of focused on organizing. My passion is organizing closets, but I kind of have a whole lifestyle approach to it. So I believe it starts with the closet, and then it goes right to your kind of your work and business processes and going forward. So kind of a unique way that I started my own business, started with a book, and now has kind of launched into a full-scale consulting business on organizing.
Very cool. And you actually have a one-on-one coaching course that you're launching in the fall on September 4th, I believe.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit more about that? And like specifically, what kind of clients do you plan on coaching? Like, is this like corporate clients? Is this just, moms who want to tidy up their homes? Is this entrepreneurs? Like, what does this apply to?
Yeah, no, great question. So I kind of found that when I was even coaching just, former colleagues or friends, that I would kind of have this 4-step process, and it's evolved now into the course that I'm going to be launching and writing also a second book on. So it's really kind of been my structure for the last, let's say, 5+ years. And the target is a bit unique too, because a lot of people who may live similar lifestyles to myself, they might have a corporate job, but then also a side business, and then travel a lot for work or for pleasure. So they have to be really kind of laser focused from their home right to their business. So a bit of, let's say, it could be new entrepreneurs, it could be side hustles if you have, it could be just very busy mothers as well that want to ensure they're using their time most effectively. But it really is a process that starts, even if it's someone looking to start or expand their own business. But I still say, let's start with your closet, because we don't want to waste any time, even 10 minutes a day in the morning, wasting time looking for things or wondering what to wear. That's 60 hours in a year. And I always say to people, what would you do with 60 more hours in a year? So we start the closet and we kind of move on to your lifestyle. What's important to you? What are your goals in your business, in your home? And we kind of work from there.
I love that. So take me through like where in the house you would start. Like, does this apply? And I'm sorry if I'm asking like these basic questions, but I'm just trying to think at like the simplest point of view. Like when you say closet, are you talking about like coat closet? Are you talking about like your bedroom closet? What exactly are you looking for? And like what is I don't even know if there is a typical, but what is like the typical process when you're going through someone's closet?
Yep, no, another good question, because there is a lot of closets, and kind of before we even get to the coaching, we sit down and I do kind of an analysis on where you are now and what's your organizing goal. Like what bothers you with your organizing, or are you losing time somewhere, or what's your focus? Is there a reason you want to get more organized? Is it because you want more time in this part of your life, or because you want to create more seamless system, or maybe you want to spend more time with your kids, whatever it may be. I kind of work backwards and say, okay, this is your goal, this is how much time we have to save. And then I actually do focus on the main closet. So I know we do have a lot of closets, but I say first thing you do when you wake up in the morning after brush your teeth, make your bed, is usually head to the closet. And that can really, especially for women, it can really alter the mood of your day if you already waste time there. So it really is kind of the main closet that I start focusing on. And let's say if it was a goal to get more organized, to save X amount of time in a day, or to maybe start a business or spend more time with your kids, I kind of start by looking at your closet and seeing, is 80% of the clothes you wear up front? Is it too cluttered? Are you able to know? Do you know what you have? Do you even have a style that you wear most of the time? Are you still stuck on what to wear? So all of those things kind of come into play, but it really is kind of a one-on-one, let's say, before the coaching even starts, to say, where are you at and where do you want to go? What's your goal?
I love that. So say, for instance, you organize someone's closet, right? Mm-hmm. And they're super happy with your work, but they're worried about keeping it just as organized as how you arranged it. Because how many times have we like really cleaned through our house only to like 5 months later you're like, it doesn't even look like I did anything. It looks like where it started. So what are your tips for like maintaining that organized atmosphere?
Yeah. I love this question, because a lot of people always ask me, they say, Jane, why do you not have more pictures of your clients' work on like your Instagram, or why don't you show more before and afters? And for me, it's really hard, because I always talk to friends and clients, and even if it's a closet or a desk or a process, it has to fit your lifestyle. And most of the time, actually, that doesn't look magazine perfect. It is very hard to sustain a kind of a perfect looking closet every day. So for me, it's actually not about the look. It's actually about the functionality and if it fits your or the client's lifestyle. So really sitting down and making sure we have the priorities and the goals and focus on that. And then sometimes it's going to be hard. We have to make decisions on functional versus pretty, I always say. And we need to make this area of your closet functional. It might not be the prettiest or the most Instagram worthy, I say, but it's going to help a long way for the sustaining. So I really try and kind of my mantra is, organizing for your lifestyle and incorporating it into your life. It shouldn't involve changing who you are, but rather maximizing it. So I always say, knowing where your favorite socks are means you'll be able to wear them more often, right? It's more of a I want you to think about it as a kind of a lifestyle change, not an organizing that you have to do, but it becomes a part of your life.
So interesting. And do you have like a particular, I guess, like tip for when it comes to your bedroom? Is it more of like a minimalist lifestyle where you think that people should minimize the clothes in their closet? Or is it more of like, maybe a color coded atmosphere where like, oh, all the black stuff over here, all the red stuff over here? Like, what is that kind of approach look like for you? Or does it vary with clients?
Yeah, your last point was spot on. It does vary with clients because the color coding, for me, I love color code. It looks so nice. But I had one client who was always searching for blouses, and because of the seasonality where she lived, it had to be different sleeve lengths. So instead of always searching for the colors, we organize them by sleeve. So it's short sleeved, and then medium sleeve, or 3/4, and then long sleeve. So that maybe didn't look as appealing as the color coding, but then she could easily say, okay, I need the sleeveless, they're all right here. It was kind of a laser focus, and it helped her save a lot of time in the morning. So again, it is client based.
I love that. That's so fascinating. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your book? I know it's available on Amazon and it's called Organizing for Your Lifestyle. Can you tell us a little bit about like the process for writing that book and why you decided to write it?
Yeah, that's a great question because I was still, at that time, it wasn't really a business. It was more just of a side passion. And I had so much content. I'd been, keeping content since I was 25, and I wasn't really active on social media, so I didn't have a blog or anything, but all my friends, I traveled so much and lived in so many different places. I had friends from all over, and they kept asking me questions, oh, Jane, like, how would you organize this? Or, oh, I wish I could be as organized as you in this area of my life. Kind of a lot of questions. And I thought, I can't be everywhere at once to help people, even though I'd love to. So I thought, I'm gonna write a book about this and put all of my kind of, I don't like saying it's advice, but more inspiration and motivation. So I give a lot of, okay, this is how I do it, but it still should be tailored to your life. But it kind of evolved from there. And because I was working as a busy corporate job, I really had to kind of also be organized in how I write it to kind of complete it. But it was finished in 2016.
That's awesome. And do you now do this full time? Is this like your full time job, or is this still kind of your passion project?
It's turned into it's still a passion project, but it's I'd say it's more full time than before. But I also have a tech business or a startup in the tech business for the construction industry as well. And a lot of it is, it's a startup as well. So a lot of it needs the business to be organized. So I still pull a lot of my organizing passion into that business as well. So essentially I have two businesses, so it means I have to be even more organized. But it's becoming more of a bigger business than I thought it would be as before.
How exciting, though.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also traveling a little bit for some speaking engagements. And I guess for some teaching courses as well. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure, yeah. I have given a few courses on organizing and other topics, and even if it's a topic for project management, for example, and I always kind of relate organizing steps and processes into all my courses. And I teach a university class at a Canadian university on the West Coast. So in the fall, I'll be heading over to do that. And then I'm going to be speaking at a conference in Berlin, more on the tech side. And then we'll see where it goes. Hopefully some more kind of speaking around the organizing business as well.
Okay, so here's the $1 million question for somebody who is listening and they're like, they're located, say, in Texas, and they're like, I need Jane to help me organize my freaking closet. It is a mess. How do they go about hiring you? Is it online? Do you travel? Or do they need to attend one of your courses? How do they connect with you?
Yep, this is exactly why I'm developing this kind of 4-week one-on-one coaching course, because I had a lot of people saying, Jane, I really want you to come and help me. And it's impossible to be everywhere at once. And I really want to help everybody, especially if they have kind of a focus or a goal or something tangible I can help them with. So that's why this new kind of it's 4 weeks, so it'd be once a week one-on-one coaching course. It's really structured, and it's the 4 steps, and I say it's 4 steps to being organized in 30 days. And when that comes out in the fall, it'll be on my website, which is organizingforyourlifestyle.com. And that way clients can get, or potential clients can really, we can have a consult together, a 15-minute consultation where we'll kind of discuss the course. And I also really want to make sure it's a right fit for them and understand their challenges and what they expect out of it. And again, this is an online course. You know, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, and I'm still going to be available for that. But again, first I need to sit down with the client and determine their needs, because we have to make sure it's a good fit for both of us.
Absolutely. So with that being said, let's get into some really helpful tips when it comes to organizing, especially when it comes to organizing, I guess, seasonally. Is that how you recommend kind of transitioning? Is it seasonal, you know, like from summer to fall, fall to winter, etc.? How do you recommend going about that?
Yeah, and that's a good question, because being from Canada most of my life, we are heavily a seasoned country. So it was always challenging. You know, you have your heavy winter clothes versus your summer clothes. I'll start with the closet because it's the easiest one to talk about. But there definitely has to be a transition period.
No, it's such an annoying thing, because like people who live in like Southern California, they are able to wear their shorts all year round. But I'm from New Jersey, and we have every season at the extreme. And I feel like I'm constantly like transitioning these clothes to the next clothes, and it's like I don't know how to approach it. So I am all ears for this one.
Yeah. No, and I like that where you're coming from as well, because you understand the extreme temperatures as well. So it's a big challenge, and I think it goes right onto the office as well, because you're always, you know, even for client meetings and having to go through the snow and having to plan to get there because they're, you know, driving. There's a lot of transitions we have to make from seasons. So just starting from the summer to fall season, you know, there's a lot of different organizational gurus that'll say, take actually physically the season clothes out and then put your other season in. And that's kind of a tough one for me, because, you know, a lot of us live in really small spaces now in cities where we have not even enough room for all our clothes, and we have storage lockers. But there's still that time when you need a jacket, but now it's in storage and you have to go down to your storage locker. I know a lot of people are probably relating to me here. So it's my biggest tip is actually trying to have as much of your clothes for both seasons to fit in your space that you have. And if you have to adapt that a bit, even if you have to, you know, buy an add-on for your wardrobe upstairs to make all your clothes fit, that would be the best solution. They should still be kind of in the same area, and then transition them to be front and center. So if it's summer, you have 80% of your summer clothes the first thing when you walk into your closet. After summer, you can move them to the kind of the back position, but keep them in the same space, because it's very frustrating having to go down to a locker or even another room or the garage. And then often we sometimes even buy more because we forget we have it, we need it, and we're like, it's just too much of a pain to get. So I really strongly recommend having all your clothes in one area at least, and then transition from there on the clothing side.
I love that. That's really actually helpful. So do you recommend making sure that all your clothes fit into the one closet, like all seasons?
In a perfect world, I would say that's the best option. I would have it, you know, still, you don't really want to see your big, bulky winter jackets in the summertime. So if there is a place you can kind of close it, I would recommend having them at least in the same area, the same floor even, or the same, kind of in the same area. So you can transition fast if you need it, or, you know, if you do need that jacket for whatever reason, you have a project in the Arctic and you need it, and it's still within walking distance or close. But the best solution is, yes, to have all your closets or clothes in the same large enough closet, and building on or adapting as you need it.
So next time my husband yells at me about having extra clothes in the guest bedroom, I should just say, Jane says it's the most efficient way. I need both closets.
Yeah, well, you can tell them it's better to reduce your shopping because at least you'll go there instead of buy something new because you've forgotten something was in the basement or whatever.
Exactly. I love that argument.
Yeah, because I found I was really overbuying because I was storing in my storage lockers, and then I would forget, and then, now we have apps, but even then, if it's closer to your site, you'll remember it more.
That's a great tip.
Mhm.
Are there any like must-have organization products that you recommend? Just generally speaking, it doesn't even have to be when it comes to like clothes.
Yeah, for me, actually, one that I must have is this time cube. That's really for, it can be for organizing your closet, it can be for business, it can be for working on social media, or it can be if you're a blogger or even a mom doing a work kind of project. But a time cube, they're like $15 or less on Amazon, and what they are is they kind of keep you on track. And for me, if I'm a lot of people say it's so hard for me to start getting organized, or where do I even start organizing the closet? Get a time cube, say, I'm going to work on this for 30 minutes every day, put that cube in front of you and place the timer on, and you'll actually start. So that's how I get a lot of clients to get started organizing is say, get the time cube and just do it. So for me, that's my number one kind of must-have organizational product.
Perfect. And what about when it comes to, like, I guess, packing or vacation time, like packing your suitcase? Do you have any tips when it comes to organizing that?
Yes, I have. That's one of my favorite topics because I've traveled so much. I've had all of my job. My last job was even a global job, so I was traveling all the time. And then and then with friends all over the world, you travel a lot for personal as well. So packing is. I have an entire chapter in my first book, and the second book I'm writing now, I'm also going to be including a large kind of chapter on packing and travel because it's becoming kind of the norm as well. And the most annoying part for people is usually packing. And it
Yes,
shouldn't be. Yeah, everyone hates
absolutely.
packing and unpacking.
And I'm
So,
such an overpacker. It's like,
yeah,
it's awful. Like, my
yeah.
husband is like every time, like, counting the number of shoes I have in my bag. So I'm all
Well,
ears on this one as well.
well, it's so funny because a lot of my friends' husbands or boyfriends, they all say, "Oh, Jane, we're so happy that you helped Sarah like bring a carry-on only, right?" So they're also thankful to me because really, I want to make sure that your vacation or your travel, work travel, is you can focus on the most important parts of it, not the most annoying part of packing or forgetting something or the dreaded coming home and unpacking. So for me, I have 4 products that I say are a must-have when in all houses if you travel. And the first one being a good quality carry-on because I really try and focus only on carrying a carry-on when I travel. Even if it's 2 weeks to a month, I can do it on a carry-on. So that's my first trip. And if you invest in a good quality one, you're likely to use it. It'll be easy to roll around. And once you get used to carrying only a smaller bag, you'll love it so much you won't want to bring a bigger bag. The second one I always say is your travel size toiletries should be ready to go in your carry-on before you even know you're traveling.
Oh,
So I
that's
have,
a good one.
yeah, I have I have a bag from the Sephora one. I think it's $2 or $3, and it's a clear TSA standards one. So I put all my smaller liquids in that bag, and they're filled, and I just keep them in my carry-on. So everything that I use that I on a daily basis, my moisturizer is in a small one, like all those are ready to go. If I come back from a trip and it's empty, I refill it right away so it stays in my carry-on because the worst thing is if you're the night before a trip and you're squeezing your liquids into little bottles or you really have those essentials packed and in your carry-on at all times. It'll save so much time. Yeah. And the next one is a travel wallet. So especially if you're traveling a lot overseas and you have a passport, usually you're not carrying your passport in your wallet day to day.
Right.
So I say have a separate travel wallet. They're usually a bit bigger because they fit your passport. But in that, keep everything that you need to travel with. So your passport, your health insurance cards, if you're out of country, or your medical, your frequent flyer cards. But everything you need for traveling should be in that travel wallet and should also be in your carry-on. So those things should just be ready to go. And then really all you have to do is add your clothes. And then the last item I say the must-have for travel is an oversized shawl or scarf, and this can be, transitions from seasons as well. But I usually each season have one shawl that I always take with me because it's cold and on, airplanes. It can act as a jacket. So that I kind of transition with the season. So those are my four travel must-haves.
I love that last one. I never even thought about really traveling with that, but that makes perfect sense because you're right. If it's cold on the airplane, you can just like throw it over your shoulders, or if you don't feel like carrying it, you can just wrap around your waist or whatever.
Exactly, and an oversized shawl is the best, or a large scarf, because we're always like, how many jackets should I bring? And that can double as a jacket instantly. So it actually saves so much packing room, and it's nice to have. I pick one for each season and always take it with me, so it's already packed in my carry-on as well. But it saved me so many times, and even dresses up an outfit. You get a stain on a shirt, you can cover it up, like all of these things. That's the best tip I have.
I love that. And since you were kind of talking about traveling for work, I also want to ask you about organizing the office, or organizing your desk or your cubicle or your workstation, or even, if you travel a lot for work, you don't really have that set workstation. So what would be some tips for kind of just like organizing your workspace, regardless of where you are? Aside from like the time cube, which is a really great one.
Yep, that's an interesting question too, because this has challenged me for my entire life, especially since now we're digital age. So, for in my office, I used to have files, and I went to the when you used to go to the office more, it was much more structured. You'd sit at your desk, you reach for a file. It was organized. But now it's almost impossible to do that. And if you have something in a filing cabinet, you'll never be able to be there to get it. So the biggest challenge I had and still have is being digitally organized. So for us, it's taking our computers and being able to open it wherever we are, and making sure that our files are now organized on our computer. So that's in our busy world today, I find, especially in when I travel to different meetings, or we're starting a meeting, or especially when people bring up their computers on let's say on the PowerPoint, and you can see their desktop and they can't find something for 20 minutes. It's a bit embarrassing. So, and I am guilty of it myself. So I'm constantly trying to get digitally organized now. So I really focus on having a completely minimalist office, because I want to be able to have only what I need on my computer, and have it super kind of organized on my with my files on my computer. But again, that's a constant. I'm still learning myself on the best way to become digitally organized.
That's so helpful. So I know, based upon your experience, you are just a guru in this matter. But what are some resources that you would recommend, aside from your book and your course, for people who want to kind of dig deeper and continue to learn more about organizing? Like, what are your resources? Do you listen to any podcast, or did it start with another book for you? Or what are some resources we can all look into?
Yes, because I actually, in the first chapter of my book, I called it The Science Behind Organization and Stress. And I listed a lot of books and resources that even medical journals, and different organizing gurus that I had learned from over the years. So it was back when I was very young. It was Martha Stewart, who was kind of my organizing idol, and she really I bought her books at a very young age, and would kind of say, okay, I want to be just as organized as Martha Stewart. And back then there wasn't as many TV shows, or it wasn't a big deal organizing. There wasn't a Container Store, and it wasn't a big business like it is today. So it was much harder to actually find resources. And now it's a huge industry. And Marie Kondo, with her KonMari method, has become kind of as an international fame with her books. And there's so many books out there, and so many different organizing topics. So I would suggest, if anyone wants to get started, is to really pick their niche, because now they can really find any book on organizing, whether it be a closet, whether it's how to create a curated closet, whether it's how to live a minimalist life, whether it's how to organize a business process. Or I read the Tim Ferriss, the 4-Hour Work Week, which isn't even about organizing, but he talks so much about time management, organizing your time. So David Allen does the stress of the art of stress-free productivity. So all of these kind of books are, of course, different genres, but someone who wants to get started should really say, what's my goal and what's my focus? And there's so many resources around them now.
I love that. Now, where can everybody find you on social media or email, or why don't you pimp yourself out for us?
Yeah, and if you want to find me as a resource, so my website is organizingforyourlifestyle.com, and it's really a website I made for my book, because my new website will be launching in the fall, which will have the one-on-one course on it. But for right now, organizingforyourlifestyle.com. You can find my book there. You can also email me. My email is jane@organizingforyourlifestyle.com. And my Instagram is organized Jane Stoller. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. And again, I let people know that it's, my Instagram is more for inspiration and whatnot, because it's I do find it hard to take really good before and after pictures of with my clients, because I want them to make it for their life, not magazine perfect. So I do post a lot of inspiration, but I don't want people to think their closet or their kitchen or their office has to look a certain way. It has to fit their priorities.
I love that, and I really love that mentality, because it really can be challenging and kind of get in your head when you see like these perfectly white rooms with everything in the perfect setting. And you're right, the most important aspect of this all is functionality and saving time. It's not whether it looks good on Instagram. So
exactly, yeah. And so many people come and they say, oh, I'm like, everybody, when I say I'm an organizational specialist or a life biz organizer, they say, oh my God, don't come to my house, or oh my gosh, don't, I need to get more organized. Everybody has this dream, but they're so scared and don't know where to get started. It's often overwhelming because I guess you're right. Our society has made us think we have to look a certain way, or it has to be perfectly organized, but it doesn't.
I totally agree. So I do have one more question for you, and I ask everybody who comes on the podcast,
Yeah.
And that is, what is your favorite flavor of kombucha?
Yeah, no, this is a really good question, and I was researching a bit, because I didn't actually know there was different flavors of kombucha.
Oh, how funny! No, because some so I guess like local breweries really kind of stick with like the black tea or things like that.
Yeah, so when I used to actually when I started drinking kombucha because of the health benefits, I went, and it was always the basic black tea one, and it was the same color, and I thought, this is what kombucha is. I didn't actually know you could, until I started listening to your podcast, I didn't actually know that you could put fruit in it and you could make it your own, right? So
yeah.
I actually love blueberries, and I put blueberries and I put some cinnamon in it.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing all of your wisdom. It was a joy talking to you.
Oh, it was a joy being here. I really loved your questions, and I really hope I can motivate everyone to, get more organized and have fun with it. Like I said, make it a part of your life, not that it's a, annoying part of it. It should be fun.
Love it. Thank you.